whatever you eat, if you don't assimilate it or eliminate it, it becomes a poison in the body. So some of the fundamental principles is that basically food intake affects both the content and the timing of enzymes.
Hi there, welcome back to another video here at IIOM, another episode of Real Talk with Dr. Jim Sharps, where we really aim to look at health topics and life topics from the perspective of original medicine with the aim of really demystifying. There's a lot of knowledge out there that is of variable quality. We really just want to give a very rational and very clear perspective of original medicine in the sea of content that's out there as it comes to health in today's day and age. So thanks again for joining with us. Dr. Jim, thank you again. I know your time is extremely rare these days, so we appreciate you making the time to record these videos each week. In terms of topic for today, what we wanted to cover off was continuing where we were in our last video, which is looking at food combination. January sees a lot of health-related goals and intentions. Hopefully that will continue throughout the year. But we just wanted to record some content and share some knowledge from the original medicine perspective that looked at food combining, because that's actually quite I would say, a hidden area that you can gain a lot of vitality, to use one of your words, Dr. Jim, in a way that is actually very simple to adjust from a nutrition and lifestyle perspective. So just continuing in really looking at how food combining can be made easy. Dr. Jim, what are the fundamental principles of food combining, building on what we discussed in the last video?
Yes, excellent question. And you're right, it's a very important topic, because one of the things that we should appreciate is that whatever you eat, if you don't assimilate it or eliminate it, it becomes a poison in the body. So some of the fundamental principles is that basically food intake affects both the content and the timing of enzymes. And the enzymes are specific to different food types. So there's three different food types. There's carbohydrates, there's proteins, and there's fats. And there's different types of enzymes for each of those. And the way the physiological system works, the physiology of digestion works, is that the system is primarily monotrophic. Mono meaning one type. So it's designed to be most efficient in digesting one food type at a time. So complex combinations can inhibit complete digestion, especially for those that are having digestive issues. And so this is a very important area, because if you're having health issues, one of the things you want to look at is one of these important factors, nutrition. Are you actually getting what you want out of that nutrition? Because as we said in the beginning, if you can't assimilate it or eliminate it, it can impact the system. You're going to have an accumulation of toxins, and based on the type of toxins and what systems are impacted, it can result in a whole host of named diseases.
Thank you, Dr. Jim. And that's really, I think, a really interesting point that you make around the impact that our food has, not just, okay, did I have enough calories, but actually the type of food and the compound effect of positive choices, but also negative choices in terms of that accumulation in the body, and that then being a good breeding ground for sickness and ill health. So I think that's a really important point to highlight. As we kind of move on, Dr. Jim, in terms of specific groupings, I know there's the American diet that we've referenced, I think, in our last video. I just really wanted to talk specifics in terms of why do starches and proteins combine poorly? This would be the very traditional hamburger and fries.
Yeah.
Why is that such a poor combination, but yet such a common nutritional choice that many of us make, certainly in the developed world?
Yes, and as I indicated, there's certain types of enzymes for each type of food. Now, starches require a certain type of enzyme. They're called amylases. Protein require different types of proteases, protein breakdown of that kind of food. And so you can see if you eat just the one type, then you're basically getting maximum efficiency of the enzymes needed. And if you do eat the other type at the same time, you can have a mixture of those enzymes, which can weaken the potency of either. So, for example, protein, you need a stronger type of enzyme, if you will, to break it down. And if you remember from school, if you mix a base with an acid, they neutralize each other. So if you don't have enough of the enzymes, if they're not strong enough, you don't get the complete breakdown of either. So if the starches don't get completely broken down, you can have fermentation. If the proteins aren't broken down, you can have putrefaction. So you can have this issue based on where the confluence is, where the accumulation of enzymes are, or the deficiency is of either the fermentation or putrefaction or both. And you can just imagine the gas, the burping, the upset stomachs. You even think sometimes it's so acute that you even think you're getting a heart attack because of the buildup of gas, etc. So that is probably the best way to explain. As you said, the primary issue is the traditional hamburger, where you have the starch and the wrong kind of starch. A lot of times it's kind of a processed starch, refined starch, if you will, not even a whole starch. And then you have the very heavy protein, and you can just imagine if you have a weakened digestion, the kinds of issues that can result from a digestive standpoint first, and then later on a whole host of other issues that can result from that poor digestion.
Yeah, no, that's very clear. And then another, looking at the traditional American diet, if you will, another kind of key component about that, and it's a kind of a food group that is present in many parts of our diet, and that's milk.
Yes.
Now, I'm just thinking immediately the food groups: pizza. It's a favorite for many. But what about milk and its derivatives makes it a poor combination with most other foods? Using that example of pizza, you're going to have some kind of vegetable process. You're going to have some kind of starch, as we've discussed. What about milk poorly combines with those other food groups?
Yeah, well, milk, as you can appreciate, is a complete food. That's the only food you need as an infant. So it has fats, carbohydrates, and protein. So the question you might ask is, okay, well, you have these different types of foods in a single food. Well, in the whole food itself, in that single food, you also have the right combination of enzymes and other factors that help you to break down and digest it. Now, milk, especially today's milk, it didn't used to be a problem before the 1900s, and you'll see why. Today, almost 100% of your milk is pasteurized. And so it's destroying, pasteurization has such high heat that it destroys the enzymes. And so as a result, milk tends to be the most mucus producing and the most acid producing food you can put in your body. So you can see if you're having that with another complex meal, with that sandwich that we talked about earlier, how it can be disastrous. And so milk, even whole milk, it kind of curdles when it gets in the stomach. So if you have that curdling effect and it's wrapping itself around the foods in the stomach, and then the enzymes, it's impeding the enzymes from actually penetrating that covering and getting that into the foods. So you can see there's multiple issues with milk, especially with the commercialization of milk today. So you'll find that even cows, if baby cows, if they were fed pasteurized milk from their own mothers, cows, they usually die within 6 months because it renders it nutritionally deficient because you can't completely break it down. They can't even completely utilize it. And so you can understand human beings, even though they have much stronger digestions, you can see over the longer effect, the cumulative effect can have a profound effect on digestive efficiency.
Yeah, no, very clear, Dr. Jim. And then final question, if I may. RBTI is a topic that we've covered. It's a theme that runs throughout many of our videos. It's a topic we've covered many times. I'd advise, if you're interested in RBTI and you want to fuller dive into that from the original medicine perspective, do check out our playlist on the channel that covers that in quite a level of detail. But in terms of RBTI as it relates to food combination, Dr. Jim, how can RBTI help inform those nutritional choices, and in terms of how we're combining our foods on a day-to-day, meal-to-meal basis?
Yes, and that's a really good question, and RBTI can play a profound role, a really empowering role in this whole topic, because as I stated earlier, the whole premise of food combining is if you have weak digestion. RBTI is an analytical tool, and it can tell you how strong your digestion is. So based on the numbers, it can tell you how far from perfect you are. So the more you deviate from perfect, the less liberties you can take in your food intake. And so it provides a really simple and easy way of not only analyzing and telling you if you have an issue, but it tells you how your choices that you make subsequently, if they're improving, keeping you the same, better, or worse. So it has a profound role in this area, because one of the major things that it does, it shows you your level of digestive efficiency. The liver makes about 5 billion to 6 billion enzymes